All right, and we are getting ready for the start of race number 55. This is the women's Novice 8 Grand Final. 6 boats across in lane 1, UC Santa Barbara A. Lane 2, UC San Diego. Lane 3, Cal Lightweights. Lane 4, UC Irvine. Lane 5, Orange Coast College. And lane 6, San Diego State. And we are off. And a quick start here. We do have a clean start, a little bit of a course correction for lane 5, Orange Coast College. Not quite pointed straight down the course, but it looks like they've gotten themselves back into position and everyone rowing cleanly. Definitely no issues there, but maybe just adding a couple of meters on to the race. Whitney, I know at the start, especially in the novice events, there's a lot of adrenaline, there's a lot of action, and trying to hold that course, that is the most important thing coming off of the start.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you said that because I was just about to commentate on that. It is very, very difficult. Now, first and foremost, you need to have your bow absolutely pointed down the center of that lane, but it is so easy for any little thing to happen to actually steer you slightly port or slightly starboard right off the start. If you have any differentiation in power on your port or starboard side, if your rudder isn't pointed straight, any little bit of that can affect the steering as you come blasting off that course, or blasting off that start block. And it makes such a big difference when your boat is 60 feet long and your rudder's the size of a credit card. It does take a little bit of time to get back into the center of that lane and get pointed straight again, and that is all wasted time.
That's right, and so crucial to these close races, of which we're seeing quite a few of today. So important to have the absolutely best course. That coxswain is really there to make sure that those boats are safe and rowing in the best and most even and fair place possible. But right now, back to the racing action. We've got 2 boats up front coming out of the heats. Both of these crews, UC Santa Barbara and UC San Diego, really unchallenged in their heats. And UC Santa Barbara had the fastest time coming out of the heats, just ahead of UC San Diego. But again, both boats in separate heats really didn't have any challenge. So we're going to see right now out on the race course who has that resolve and really the true speed. And we're looking at 2 crews almost side by side, but right now the advantage is going to go to UC Santa Barbara in lane 1, sitting with about a 2-seat advantage over the Tritons of UC San Diego.
And boy, you nailed it there too. These are 2 programs that not only come from California here and do get to see each other at a few different regattas, but they come from very, very strong programs, very big programs, very storied programs. So these 2 crews not only race for first and second here, potentially, we will see what happens in the middle of the race, but it is also a race for pride here because these are California crews, again, that get to see each other fairly often. A lot of rivalry here in some of these UC schools. And again, very large programs, very strong programs, and typically get very strong coaching and are very fit. And we are seeing that here just by the separation that they've created between themselves and lanes looking like 3 and 4, Cal Lights and UC Irvine.
Yeah, and so Cal Lights in that 3rd place position, just maybe a couple of seats over UC Irvine. And then back by open water, it's going to be your 5th and 6th place crews, San Diego State, a new club program. So they did have a varsity program for years and then relegated to a club program now, but doing a nice job here in this grand final. So still with a good amount of speed coming out of that Aztec program as they sit just ahead of Orange Coast. Orange Coast is your defending champion in the Novice 8 from last year, but currently finding themselves in the 6th place spot. So back up to the front, UC Santa Barbara, a large club program, always doing really well at the national level at the ACRA Championships. So great testament to the strength of that program. And then UC San Diego just coming off of this is their final year they're not a Division II program. They've been rowing as Division I, but now fully completing their years in Division II. They will be fully Division I next year as an athletic department. So very important for them to generate that top end speeds. And right now they're showing that as UC Santa Barbara and UC San Diego, literally blades in the water at the same time, pacing each each other, bow ball to bow ball. But just as I say that, UC San Diego taking over the lead right now, 1 seat over UC Santa Barbara.
You know, I'm so glad you said that because I was just watching their puddles here, and you can see that UC San Diego has actually lengthened out a teeny bit. They're actually out of their puddles. They're pushing those puddles past that coxswain, past that stern. And again, as we speak, though, Santa Barbara has actually brought up the rate, and they are countering.
Wow, great moves here. It is just going back and forth between those two crews. And now this is where the coxswain comes into play. This is where that coxswain can really channel the energy, channel the focus of their crew. And that is crucial right now as UC Santa Barbara slipped back to second, but then they just took a big move right there, and they just took over the lead again from UC San Diego. So UC San Diego right now sitting in the second place position, but so close. Final 500 meters here for these two crews that are well out front in this women's Novice 8 grand final. Back behind them, still battling for that third or fourth place position, it's going to be the Cal lightweights over UC Irvine. And then back behind them, San Diego State and Orange Coast. But up front, man, it's going to come all the way down to the wire here between UC Santa Barbara and UC San Diego. Is it going to be gold? Is it going to be silver? We're going to see. Come on down to the shoreline and cheer these guys on. This is the building blocks of that varsity program. These women's Novice 8. There are some walk-on athletes in both of these boats. There's some athletes that have a lot of experience coming out of their high school program. But right now, it's anyone's game. Who's going to put it all together when it matters? Is it going to be the Tritons? Is it going to be the Gauchos? Keep your eye on lanes 1 and 2.
Exactly, and I'm so glad you said that because in lane 1, Santa Barbara, who made that very strong counter move where they brought the rate up a little bit, that coxswain has to be very smart because they took that move. Whether that was part of their race plan or not, we are not sure, but she still has to sprint, and her crew is going to have to be very, very brave here to see if they can hold off lane 2. UC San Diego, and right now it is way too hard for me to tell, even looking at the screen, bow ball to bow ball right here as we come into the last 200 meters.
Stroke rates coming up above 40 strokes a minute here in these final strokes. 100 meters left between the Tritons and the Gauchos. Who is it going to be? Blades in the water at the right time. Clean catches all the way to the finish. This is going to be too close to call. Is it going to be Santa Barbara? Is it going to be UC San Diego? All the way to the line here for these novice crews. I'm going to give it to UC San Diego for the win, just barely over UC Santa Barbara. What a race.
That was an absolute nail biter. That was who's at the catch, who's at the finish, and UC San Diego keeping us on edge there. What a race. Phenomenal fight there for Santa Barbara as we come in here with the Cal lightweights and UC Irvine, followed by Orange Coast College and San Diego State.